not belong to me. This is actually my parents' new bungalow project. Everything thinkable needs redoing to it, rewiring, double glazing. There's going to be walls knocked out, moved. In fact, there was a big 80s, possibly 70s actually, before my time, window panel there. That is gone. But I'm going to show you the start of me and my husband clearing and sorting out the garden areas, and then hopefully we'll be able to come along and get involved in some of the major projects, learn, and then apply it to any future houses.
So before we get started on the garden work, I thought I'd show you a tour of the bungalow, just to give you an idea of what kind of state it is in now, and some floor plans that I've roughly made up on my laptop, and how my dad plans to have it look in a few months' time. And ever since I was born, my parents have always renovated houses to either let out or sell. And I thought it would be great to show you the process of what they do, because they work as a great team, where my mum is always looking for a property and my dad is the one that turns it around while my mum helps out. So you can probably see where I've got some of the inspiration from. However, their lead time for turning around properties is probably about 3 months. It's taken me 5 years to learn how to renovate my first house. So I thought this would be a great learning opportunity. Don't forget, if you love what I do and you want to see me win 2 blogging awards, then I'll leave a link below to the voting form if you haven't done it already. Cheers. And the week before we did the gardening, it was the day they got the keys. So what they like to do is rip everything out, or as my mum calls it, gutting a house. So you've got a fresh blank canvas to start with. And I wasn't particularly prepared, but I got stuck in removing the tiles and helped ditch the kitchen carcasses.
Boots on for it.
And they got this 2-bed detached bungalow at a really good price, because it needs a lot of work.
Oh, I thought I'd leave. Right, let me open the door for me. Oh, are you?
And it's much more spacious than it lets on from the front, which gives them scope to turn it into a 3-bedroom, make the kitchen bigger. So here's a plan of what it looks like now, and the garage is adjoined through the roof, and there's also a lot of space either side of the house. So my dad is currently talking about adding a conservatory onto the left, putting 2 bedrooms on the front, then a bedroom at the back as well, with space for an ensuite stolen from the garage, and a living room at the rear left, and the kitchen is going to be larger as well. So back to the gardening. Everything was overgrown, the front garden, the back garden, it just needed a lot of TLC. Plus, even Sarah Beanie said before, get the garden established first and then move into the house. And as for a selection of weeds, it had loads. So we brought our lawnmower, and we also brought a strimmer and a hedge trimmer as well. So the first job we got started on was the protruding hedge. It was overgrown, and if anyone parked here, it was a tight squeeze to walk past. So we wanted to sort that out as a priority. I left my husband to do that with the herb hour trimmer, and I had the tedious job of bagging it all up. But it had to be done. So much so that we ended up creating 2 carfuls of garden waste. Luckily, the skip is only around the corner. Then to the overgrown grass. Well, our Flymo got hot about 4 or 5 times where we had to let it cool down to use it again. So this isn't ideal for this, but it's perfect for our very tiny garden at home. Then, because there's so many weeds, we used a strimmer for this, just to clear it as much as we can. The other discovery that I really like is that this is a hazelnut tree. So we actually ate some of them the previous week, but still it needed a good tidy up. For the driveway, because there were so many weeds, we decided to use some weed killer. This will probably take about a week or 2 to take effect, but we had to make sure Hans was indoors. Then we moved on to the back garden. I'm trying to trim all of the weeds down, and I could see bits of what could potentially be a really nice paved patio, similar to the front. And there's a few rose bushes as well, hidden amongst all of the rubbish. But for a more dog-friendly approach, at the far left of the house, this is where there could be a conservatory later on. I actually found it was more effective just using a shovel to scrape off the weeds. I don't think Hans is particularly keen on this house at the moment, but hopefully we'll win him over. And while we were doing all of the gardening bit, my mum did the really tedious jobs that no one wants to do, cleaning windows. She's not afraid to muck in. And some trellis which had completely had it that were attached to some fence posts.
Look at that.
So that was all done in a day's work. And just to give you an idea of the bungalow's first transformation, here's what the garden space looked like, and here's what it looks like now. And we wanted to continue on the garden the next day because we slept in the camper van on the driveway that night. It was heavily raining, so we had to call it a day. But I can't wait to come back and sort it out.
So if there's anything that you'd really like to see, then let me know below, and hopefully I can come up north quite often to capture some of the major projects and learn a lot. Anyway, hopefully you like this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. This is not sponsored by Costa.